Greetings and welcome to be my guest. It's been a while, and today I have a very, very charming Janji Anand. Welcome.
Thank you, Hamsha. It's so nice to be with you.
It's always a pleasure. I know that you have a varied background. So I'm going to leave it to you to introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Thank you, Hamsha.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Janji Anand, and I know you and I have known each other for a long time, but for the rest of us, I'm someone who likes to think of himself as a community servant. And so I serve in a lot of capacities. I'm a commissioner with the state Asian American Commission for our Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I also am a volunteer, and I serve in a lot of different interesting volunteer capacities. So I hope to come to you today and to all of us so we could talk a little bit about volunteerism. And I also, interestingly, host a show called Community Matters. And that is a radio show on 91.3 FM, WCUW. And it's on every Thursday from 4:30 to 5. So I wanted to let us all know to listen to my show sometime.
Community Matters.
Yes. So I interview doctors, lawyers, business leaders, and government officials about how they serve the community.
Well, that's what we're talking about today, right? Serving our community.
Yes.
And you do it in so many different capacities.
You do as well.
I am or was a domestic violence advocate with the Saheli group.
Right.
Not so involved currently, although I do get feeds from them.
Yes.
But I believe you are very much involved in a greater sense there.
Yes, I do a lot of work with them and also with the India Society of Worcester Crisis Committee. So
that's closer, that's what you're working more with, right?
Yes, the thing is I try to think of it in terms of crisis, because crisis could be anything. It could be things like bereavement, when you lose somebody in the family, somebody needs a sudden ride to the airport, they can't find a babysitter. We all have those moments. And I think that it's nice for a community to get together and have a group of people who are just there for you. And I think that's what really brings a lot of strength to our communities.
And it was interesting, you want to tell us exactly how it started? Because I heard a little background about your dad getting very much involved with it.
Absolutely, yeah. My father, Raju Anant, he was someone who, he helps people on his own anyway. And so it's something that is close to your heart. We have an expression, it's called seva. Seva is the concept of doing good for others and having complete focus on it. And so we always hold that value true, that we should always try to do good for our community. And so he's been doing that for a long time. And I try to catch up wherever I can.
I think you're superseding the catching up part of that one. Yes, and I neglected to say that you actually are from Shrewsbury.
Yes.
And you are the president of that community that you were talking about just now?
Well, my father co-chairs the committee, crisis committee with myself at the India Society of Worcester. And we also have a wonderful, at the radio station where I have a show. I used to be the president and board chair. It's a community radio station, WCUW. It's a wonderful, wonderful gem in Worcester, and I encourage everyone to go and visit. It's on 910 Main Street, and it is the oldest radio station, one of the oldest in America.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Wow.
and it was founded by Sir Robert Goddard, who's the founder of modern rocketry. And it's about 100 years old.
Is it this year the 100 years, or it's?
In fact, I believe the anniversary's passed, so probably it's over 100 years. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I'll have to go double check my numbers, but I'm pretty sure we're past it.
So encouraging that the next generation is taking it forward.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, radio's got a long way to go. Things are going towards cellular and away from FM. So our whole goal at that station at the time was to move ourselves towards mobile radio. And but on my show in particular, Community Matters, it's on 4:30 p.m. on Thursdays. If you're not in the Central Mass area, you can still listen. If you go to wcuw.org and at 4:30 p.m. you just go to that website, click on Listen Now, and you can listen to the show. If you miss the show, you can go to wcuw.org/community matters, and then you can listen to a whole archive of all the shows that have been on. And I got to tell you, we have some really interesting guests. Like if you're in your car at 4:30 p.m., go to 91.3 FM, because right now we're having all our political shows. So we had Treasurer Goldberg on. She's running for re-election, and it was quite fascinating to hear about a relatively obscure office, the Treasurer's office, not as well known as the Governor's office.
Yes.
But she talked about some of the programs that are out there, and I think it's very valuable information. If you've got kids and you're interested, especially if you've got girls, she's got a lot of programs for young girls. And I just thought it was so fascinating. And we heard a lot of feedback for that show too. So, you can check that show out in archive. We had a show about the great guys of Worcester. So
who are the great guys of Worcester?
All right, look, it doesn't take much to be a great guy. I happen to think that, being a great guy is more about what's in your heart. So, a lot of people, if you're somebody who does good for others, you're a great guy. But they have an award for it, and I happened to win it last year for 2017. But they have every year. Thank you for the YWCA. They have an award where they give out a prize for men who serve women's causes in the Worcester community, and fight against things like domestic violence and economic disempowerment and inequality and those sorts of things.
Yeah, I was going to say, why just women? Because men go through that too, and then you got this transgender, and you have all this different.
Yes, yeah. Men can be survivors of domestic violence. Men also have a lot of challenges that are, of its own nature.
Definitely.
And so, of course, YWCA is a women's organization, so they are promoting the interests of women. But that being said, they can't do that mission without enlisting the support of men, and that is part of the reason they have this award.
Well, I'm assuming this women's crisis center started a long time ago.
Yes.
So at one time, ladies were sort of the back burner and just letting things happen.
I mean, I'm sure domestic violence was around at that time too. I think that it's becoming more into the forefront.
Yes.
And I mean,
beginning to know more about it.
Right, and the purpose is just for all of us to live in a happy home. I think that's ultimately what we're trying to aim for. And we're not trying to do anything bad or mess with anybody, but at the same time, we just want families to be happy. We want kids to grow up and not be disrupted in their growth. And for men too, to have a happy, comfortable home. It's really just about good nature and having better communities, better families, and just being happy for ourselves.
Definitely, it's our democratic right to be happy and to be loved.
That's right.
To love.
Yeah. Well, it's in the Constitution, right? The pursuit of happiness.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I tell you, one of the biggest things that makes me happy is being on your show. I love spending time with you. You're so much fun.
Well, let's get into the next topic, which is medical field, because you are MBA, MD qualified.
Yes. One of the things I love talking about medicine, because especially general topics in medicine, because I feel that it's so exciting. Don't you feel that way?
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's like one of those fields you can be in where you can really talk about the cutting edge, and you are looking into the future. It's like one of those looking glasses, or whatever the expression is. You're looking into the future. It's just amazing what people can do nowadays.
And I like the way it's going now. I mean, previously it started this way, and then it changed a little bit, and now it's going back to where it should be, where you go to your root causes and then fix it. And then I do know you're talking about all the different new age technology that's coming to help people heal too.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad to see that, because I think that medicine is really coming back to its roots. And I'm talking about, of course, it doesn't mean technologically we're going backwards, but we're going backwards in terms of our heritage.
Yes.
As
looking
physicians.
Within.
Absolutely. And I feel that the concepts of the strong roots that come from ethics and from empathy and from those soft skills has really made a very strong impression on our new generation of physicians.
And I also believe self-care is health care.
Yes.
If you take good care of yourself, hopefully other things work along with it.
You're right. And who better to talk about self-care than our nutrition, our chief chef right here. And I love your show, by the way.
Thank you.
I have to tell you, I have tried her cooking outside as well, and she is an amazing chef. The food tastes fantastic.
You're very kind. Thank you. But
hey, I'm a scientist. I'm just speaking reality.
So, but when I was talking about medicine, saying that you have so many different things that you have. You've done. You actually emergency care and all the different modalities, and you're actually coming from a clinic right now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I have been certified in a lot of the emergency certifications that they have for pre-hospital care. So they have, there's something called an EMT basic, emergency medical technician basic.
Yes,
and that was,
that one, yes.
Yeah, wouldn't you believe, so before I started med school, this was my first class, my first introduction to medicine was to become an emergency medical technician at the age of 18. And I have to tell you, it was the most eye-opening experience, and I definitely encourage all younger people to go for this emergency medical technician basic class.
Where did you serve at that time?
At that time, I went to Northeastern University and the EMT course there, and I was in Massachusetts at that time. But the thing is, they have two courses. They have a CPR healthcare provider course.
Right.
It's like I think it was 1 or 2 days. But you take that course, you become CPR certified.
Right.
That, at the very minimum, everyone should do.
Yes. But it expires very quickly, too. As I'm talking to you, I realize mine is just expired, so I need to go and renew it.
Thank you for doing it. And I'll tell you, even if your certification expires, still worthwhile skills to know.
That's true.
And it's not that hard, all right? And for everybody out there, if you haven't taken your CPR class yet, just know this, that if you come across somebody who's unconscious and doesn't have a pulse, then just pump hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. That's the key, what they're saying. Obviously call for help if there's no one who's already done that. But the main skill that you should know is simply to just pump hard and fast in that center of the chest until help arrives. And then go take your CPR class.
And the other thing is, good to take your CPR class, even if you've done it like 10 years back, because 10 years back you had a little different.
Yes. So interestingly, so they discovered scientifically, so there was an algorithm. Once you take your CPR class, you'll see that they have an algorithm called ABC, start with airway, breathing, circulation.
Right.
But they changed it to CAB, starting with circulation, means the chest compressions first, and then check for the airway that is patent or open, and then check for breathing. But the reason they started with the pumping first was because there's already some oxygen in the blood, and so the key is to get that oxygen to the brain as quickly as possible. People, the powers that be in the Society of American Society of Cardiology, I think it's called the American College of Cardiology, and the probably the other medical specialty boards felt that it is important to start with the compressions, and that would there's a lot of time that's spent opening the airway and oxygenating the blood, which is already partially oxygenated. So they said, okay, let's start with the compressions, CAB, even though it's not as intuitive as ABC.
CAB, think of the New York cabs. Well, that's also getting history now, right? Because I don't know how much more cabs are going to be. Yes, but just in my mind, that's what I worked on.
It's true. And who knows, maybe they'll change it again. But that's why it's important to take those classes and do the refreshers, so that as new scientific information comes out and they evaluate that compared to old scientific information, they can make the best conclusions.
And the interesting thing is about, for me, it was how to dislodge something when a child is choking.
Right, the Heimlich maneuver.
Well, that's the adult.
Oh, you're talking about children.
Children, babies, not babies, not children, babies.
Babies, yeah, even more interesting, right? Because you do those back blows, and then you do the chest compressions.
Yes, you put your 2 fingers in. Yes.
Right. Yeah, it's not. It's not as intuitive sometimes, right?
No, it's never. I mean, that took me far. I mean, I couldn't imagine that. You just have to put your 2 fingers in the chest cavity, and it just helps to do that.
Yes, so. and you wouldn't believe how often some of those incidents can happen, and so that's why it's so important to take that class, and you never know whose life you're going to save.
And the good thing now, you have defibrillators almost everywhere, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's in the U.S. I don't know whether it's all over the world.
Yes, yes.
As easily, it's there, but if it's as easily available, because we actually have one right here in the studio too.
Well, that's reassuring.
So yes, I mean, it's
and you've been trained, so I guess I'm covered, right? That's reassuring.
Yeah, you're way too young to be going through all of that. But you know, that is just, besides the EMT, which is the basic, you have a lot of different things that's going for you too.
Don't write me off yet, right? I mean, I was so eager to get on your show. Who knows? My heart was fluttering.
Yes,
I may go out any moment.
You have all these emergency medical things that you've done too. These terms are so big that I don't even remember them.
Oh, thank you. You know, I mean, the important thing is just to, and for everybody, I would say, is to take as many healthcare provider training courses that there are for the bystander, because really the essence, the first responder is most often just a bystander, and you can do so much good. The average person may have no idea how much good they can do by simply just taking a CPR class and being available for somebody in their time of need.
Oh yeah, no. That's what you are, right? Just being there, like ready to be in everybody's time of need, which is amazing.
Yeah.
For a young person of your caliber to be just at everybody's little ring on the phone or little texting, I guess, and you're ready to answer.
Thank you, thank you. You are too. You've taken the class, and I feel that you know, there are so many ways to do good public service, volunteerism, especially being on a cable show like this is some way.
This is community service too, by the way.
I know.
This is community TV as your community radio.
Yes,
this is community TV.
I know. So. See, that's why I love your show so much, because you know, it is you have different guests of different types that you wouldn't necessarily see on, you know, the big, you know, on Fox 25 or something like that. And it's something that really touches home, you know, the kind of people that you have on. And that's the kind of stuff that I like to see.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, I'd like to talk about traditions and with my cooking show, especially Flavorful Eats, I'd like to go back to people's tradition as they're doing it now.
Right.
Because everything has evolved,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And like I said, this show is about you and not me, so let me not...
But that's the thing, I love your show. And you know, if I can improve my cooking at all.
Laughter is a good medicine. So.
Absolutely, for most things, except maybe trauma in some other cases. But absolutely, you know, laughter is very important, and I feel that it's important for one's inner health, spiritual health.
Oh yes.
You know, and so, but that's part of the reason why I love your show so much.
Laughter is overall health, not just spiritual health.
Yes,
if everybody can take a minute each day, or even 30 seconds each day, and just laugh.
Yes, absolutely.
Just find something to laugh about. It's just amazing what it does.
Yes. Have you heard, actually, there is something called laughter therapy. Now, I haven't tried this, so I can't speak on this at all, but I have heard of it, and it's quite intriguing.
Yes, there's laughter therapy and there's laughing yoga.
Laughter yoga too?
Yes, laughing yoga is a very popular one.
Interesting. Interesting.
And they found a lot of research is being done and found that it's actually very useful.
Wow.
For better health.
Really? I know that I had been on your show previously.
With the yoga?
About yoga with Dhanashree Ramachandran. And she actually started this thing called Mass Yoga, which is a nonprofit throughout the state to spread yoga. And I have to say, yoga and meditation is an amazing, at least for me, it has been an amazing experience for grounding oneself and finding ways to relax. And I find that yoga and meditation has been very beneficial to me. But yeah, I would encourage everybody, if you get a chance, to check out the archive of her show for Dhanashree and Mass Yoga and myself. It was a pretty good show also. So you always do great shows.
But, yes, going forward to the other volunteering things that you do.
Yeah.
We spoke about Sahili, we spoke about your medical.
Yeah, you know, I wanted to talk about Community Matters, some of those interesting shows that we had on.
Yes.
So, you know, when I started this thing, I have to say, and did you get this experience too, as you do this show, that when you learn from your guest?
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yes, we
so
definitely learn.
What was the most important thing you've learned, like in your experience, right? Let me see if
now, I told you, this is my interview with you.
Yeah, I'm curious if it matches anything similar to what I've experienced.
It's just amazing. Every single show.
Does one stand out the most that you can remember, apart from me?
I remember all of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had one that really stood out for me, which was I had a young singer who just started out her career, and her name is Genevieve Bruzy, and she had come out. She only 18 years old, but she had actually she hadn't a lot of experience with singing, but and my show was actually the first time that she was going to do a live performance on the air, and I have to say, like, it was one of the most beautiful extemporaneous songs that I'd ever heard. And not only that, but it was an original song. It was written by her, straight from the heart, and for the first time aired on Community Matters on WCUW. So, and our whole station has been like that. You know, we've had people from going back 100 years doing their original concerts at that community radio station. We have their old vinyl records and old reel-to-reels, and some of it is worth a lot of money.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
Well,
So
anyway.
Quite interesting. Quite interesting stuff.
Georgie Anand's dedication for enhancing others' lives in the fast-growing South Asian community is amazing.
You're amazing, and I have to tell you, you know, I'm a seeker. I'm following the footsteps of so many others, and I'm just here to let everyone know that you know, I'm here for you, and I hope that I can encourage those who are in community service to keep doing what they're doing, and for those who are getting into it to definitely get more involved in community service. It is so rewarding personally, internally. It's not just a sacrifice, but it is something that really everyone can benefit from. So I encourage everybody to do as much volunteering as they can.
So may I quote Quincy Adams?
Of course.
If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. I guess that's what you are. You are.
Thank you. Well, leadership is something that comes from within, and I feel that by giving to others, that is a beautiful expression of leadership.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And John G. Anand, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm your host, Hamsha Naidu. Thank you for joining me on Be My Guest. Thank you. Bye-bye.